Hey, JD, it's good to see you.
Good to
Thank
see
you for
man.
having me back on The Quick Image.
The Quick Image.
I feel like this is a wrap party. It's like we finished the film. Now we're going.
right.
We're going to
Yeah,
theater,
right. Cast party.
and everybody. We're having a cast party,
Yeah,
just
right.
the three of us.
You're right.
You've shot a lot of houses for me. This one particular is very special. I think we can talk a little bit about that one and what you did there to help me market not just the property, but of course me as an agent. And it's been helpful. It's been rewarding. It's working right now. We were able to the property address, of course, 5801 Dove Creek in Plano, lakeside of Preston. It has all the things. It's the Trinity, right? You have location, condition, pricing, all these things coming together to, deliver the best, and that's what you want.
Well, you probably should preface this for people that don't know the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you called me on my way back from Houston, and you said you had an incredible turnout for an open house.
Yes.
And how much was the house again?
$2.5 million,
right.
Which is
in Plano.
Yeah.
And so the part that you probably didn't mention and people don't know is that you were excited, that you had a hell of a turnout. I still haven't had a chance to ask you how you went about getting that open house. Is it typical where people just throw out signs the day before? I don't know if you use social media. I don't know what you did.
It was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
If you really want to get down
July
to the
4th,
timing of it,
totally.
you would think, hey, traditionally people are gone, they're out of town, they're with family, they're not doing the things.
Right. So you made it happen.
We started pushing on it hard, and a lot of goes back to, when you're presenting an image, you're able to do that because I don't have to follow you. I just give you the address. I tell you who the people are.
Yeah.
And you didn't know it, but these people they're good friends. They're like family friends. And, they welcomed you into their house, rather. You did a bang up job. I don't even know what you're doing in there.
Well,
but you as an agent for 25 years yourself, you have that eye. You know how to shoot it, what people need to see, and how it's going to show up in the MLS. So that's a big deal to me. Because I know when I hand that over to you, it works.
Well, don't underestimate the most important thing to us as photographers and videographers is you had the two things that mean the most to us. You had an engaged and active homeowner, and the property was photo ready. There were a few tweaks and things, in terms of style.
Yeah.
But that, don't underestimate how important that is to us because you obviously you weren't there.
No.
But when I walked in, I could tell that the person, she was, just going through different things. What do you
Barbarella.
think? Barbarella. That's what I called her, Barbarella.
Yeah.
Sweet lady. And I think that is not seen often. Now, incidentally, with regard to your properties, we've been helping your business for a long time.
Yeah.
They're all like that. Every time I go into one of your houses.
That was a 3 trip, and she invited it in. So she, as you said, very proactive. She said, come in the house, tell me what I need to be ready. Because now in this market, and really any market, when the day you go on, you need to be ready. You need to have all guns firing.
That's right.
And for this one, you made that possible because I was able to have not just the house ready, I was able to have brochures ready. Already had those teed up. My title company was very, who you're partnering with is important. Right. It's not just imagery, which what you do. There's title, there's lending, all these things you put together. You form your team so that when you list that property, you're ready to go.
That's why they're hiring you is because of your team and your experience and your structure.
And you got to have all those things because especially when you're hitting the market with a property that it's premium. It's a superior location and it has everything. Right. So you want to be ready to go, and your images helped me do that because I was able to, like I said, put brochures, flyers together, have those up and ready. So I'm about 5 days ahead of my open house time.
Wow.
So that way people already know I'm pushing for that weekend. Here it comes. Statistically, we can talk Thursday is the greatest day to market anything. But, I think now you really need to do everything. You're looking at your pie chart of all the activities as an agent you need to do to get that property on the market and get it ready. And you need a team to do that. So,
well, let me just tap the brakes on one thing. I just realized you just said something that really stimulated something important that you did in the very beginning when you got this, before you got this listing. You called me up and you said, "Hey man, I've got a doozy and I want to do it right." You were like, "What are the things that," you were open to my suggestions is what I'm getting at. You weren't coming in, just taking over as a control freak. I appreciated that because I think that fed into an owner that was open to my suggestions when we were prepping her house. But what I really liked is you said, this isn't just bricks and sticks for me, as a 30-year realtor. You were saying, I want to sell lifestyle. How can we go about making this property really stand out in an area where there may be a lot of homes that just aren't generating the traffic that I am setting my expectations to do. And that really piqued my interest because I was like, wow, this is like a photographer's. This is, it's
well, you said that initially.
You said that initially.
You're the one that threw out lifestyle. You're selling a lifestyle, and that's exactly
true. But because we are seeing that from a lot of our homes that are not your average $300,000 house. I think that those buyers, those sellers, because sometimes they're making lateral moves too. That's a different, level of homeowner, buyer, and you're right. I think it's about lifestyle. It isn't about bricks and sticks, and I think because we had that conversation, we were able to sell that idea to the seller, like, hey, we're trying to sell lifestyle here. And she responded. She went out and got all the solar lights and look at those photos. The backyard.
Well, you were smart when you said we've got to have night shots here, because what you pulled out of that, I selected some of my favorite images of that, and a lot of them were nighttime images, because what you were able to see from your perspective, it just, you look at that backyard and you can see yourself hanging out at night, you're in the pool, you're lounging, all the lights are, it's such a colorful house. And you really pulled that out. You really pulled that out,
And it wasn't gaudy, but, also when I walked the house the first time, and again, you weren't even there. You weren't there for the first shoot. You weren't there for the second shoot.
But I was there for the 3 meetings before about how to get this house ready. Not only was she ready to do it, she did it. And when I came, she was, what do I need to do? What do I need to pull away? What do I take out of this room? What do I put in this room? And it was very interactive. And not everybody's like that. We've worked with a lot of them over time, but here at Dove Cove or Dove Creek, we didn't have that problem.
But everything in this house, I feel like, was banging on all cylinders. The way you treated it, she was. They've got people traveling. You in that relationship with their needs, their timelines, all of that kind of stuff. I know that's all your world, but where you were able to balance that, and then tell me, okay, she's a little eccentric.
Love her.
You remember?
Love her to death.
But you prepared me for her style, which, I might have taken a Xanax at the front door, but it went swimmingly well. That lady is like a friend now. She texts me, I've never had that. That's such a very, very rare relationship. But I do want to say one thing that I picked up on, and you and I haven't talked about it, but that house, while it's in the middle of West Plano, the way it was designed was almost like a full C shape. And the backyard, that's the first thing that hit me is, wow, I could do a 360 and not see one house. It was like its own little.
It's spearheaded because it's an interior corner. So, you really, it's a wide at the back and tapers at the front. You still end up with a circle driveway, 3-car garage that's tandem. Right. And it's not a small house, but it really fills up that lot well.
But for people though, and I'm saying in terms of lifestyle at that level, some people want big sprawling backyards. Some people don't want the maintenance. But that one, what I thought was really unique about it, I haven't seen many that were like that, is it just seemed easy to manage. But it was in a circular fashion. So, in terms of privacy, that's what I was getting. And that's what I think, I was trying to capture is, I think that's what makes this house unique was, I shoot 500 houses a year. And not every day you walk into a home like that, and it just kind of talks to you that, okay, you're right. I walked out, the first thing, I think I left and I said, dude, you got to shoot night shoots.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want your house to look like every other home over here. You know,
well, you gave me such a plethora, if you will, because I can rotate these in. I can rotate them in and out, and it keeps a fresh look for the listing, because I think, as we learn what's trending right now, if you price it right and it's ready to go, it'll go quick, maybe 2 weeks. You price it wrong, you sit there for maybe 70 days. And for this property, it's a higher price point, so it usually would take a little bit longer, but I think we put our best foot forward for sure.
It's like internet dating. Once you've seen that one person, that one dude that like lives on the couch with his mom, you're like, next. But if next thing you know, he's got a photo of him, changed, you might look at it and go, wait a minute, did I look at this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, that's the guy that lives on the couch with his mom. But you went in, you stopped, you didn't just pass it over. And that was the whole point of saying, Jason, I think we need to get a lot of different mixed images from aerial down on this, that, so that it just looks like it's always something new came to market.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have found, and I think NAR made some statistics, that mostly moms and, wives, they're the ones that choose a lot of the houses to go to a lot of times. They're the ones at home that are like, oh man, honey, look at this. You know? And they're also the same ones that are like, yeah, I already saw that. Yeah. So I like that you were open to that, you're going to have plenty of good stuff to present to the market. And you said people showed up and really.
What I like about it, and for me, because you've done this for me, we've been working together a long time, and you've actually loaded pictures into my MLS for me, because you understand the story that we're telling, and that's exactly what it is. Because you look at a lot of houses now, especially one that size, it's multi-generational. You have a primary bedroom downstairs in the back where it should be, and then you have on the other side of the house, you've got a guest suite that has its own entrance.
Yeah.
To the pool, by the way. It's got a little kitchenette in there, a microwave. There's a coffee machine everywhere, like every 10
so
feet.
Late, she said I could stay there. I thought about it.
You're like, you take the guest suite.
Yeah.
You show him in the morning, he's just floating in the pool.
Jason, how's room service around here?
No, but I love that. I think you did a great job, and that's what it does. Because even if you go through and you're looking at all the photos on an MLS listing, 80% of people start their search this way. So you need to be able to tell a story, and it's I can walk through the door, I can see the beautiful chandeliers, I can see, wow, there's the pool through there, I can see there's the kitchen in the back, and I've made it in 5 feet, but it's so open. It's just beautiful. It's a great presentation. So you told a good story with your photos.
I want to go back to one point you said too, and again, you were open to all of this, right? You said half the photos I chose were the night photos, and agents don't pay attention.
It's the color.
Well, thank you. The agents don't pay enough attention to one thing. I would say 99% of our homes that we shoot, and we've been doing this in the Dallas market for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Most of the homes we shoot are during the day.
Sure.
And one time, I was working for Judy Pittman. May she rest in peace, but she was the Turtle Creek queen, and all of her homes, our condos, overlooked all the city views and everything. And I said, it's crazy. I said, why do people buy these homes? And she said, the view. And I'm like, right. Why are we shooting it during the day? And she goes, well, that's the norm. And I'm like, yeah, but you just told me that if they're going to pay $5 and $8 million for a condo, they're buying the view. Why aren't we shooting the view?
The view.
The
different view.
Right. And so that's the one thing I wanted to point out with yours. As I saw it, I just wanted to see if you would see it. And that was when we shot it at night, we shot the same image. We shot it the same spot at day, and then we came back, we shot it at night. It showed off your lighting. It showed off it gave an ambiance.
Yeah.
It gave
the way it reflected off the water, that view looking out of the master or the primary bedroom out to that pool at night, the way that light, because editing's everything. And I know that I can shoot something with my phone and you do the same thing. Your editing makes it look amazing. But, it really brought out the architectural design that the builder was going for. It's like, the power of three. Right? You could see it in the eaves of the house. You could see it in the architectural beams on the outside. You could see it in cuts in the floor. It all ties together. We all talk about location, 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 but on this house, the location's there. It's great. The condition bears the price.
Yeah.
So those three things come together, I think made that house a great shoot. I can't thank you enough for doing that for me.
We appreciate great experiences, and I can't thank you and your seller enough because, on a daily basis, agents are in such pressure. Hey, let's get this going. We need you there. We do that, and we get there, and we're in shock. We're just like,
nobody's ready.
This is not. Is really?
Yeah.
Now we don't know. Is there a distressed sale? Is there foreclosure? They're trying to get out of town. We don't know, so we don't ask. But it just, rather than beat up on those types, but they happen every day. It's just so rejoiceful to walk into a home where everybody's on the same page.
That's right.
We're after, like you say, using your word, we're after the presentation of it. And if your people are happy, we're happy.
Yeah.
And you said you had another one. I appreciated you saying my stuff is flying off the shelf. I mean, if anybody's paying attention to the market, there's not a whole lot of people saying that. And you said there was another one we did for you out in was that McKinney or Plano? I can't keep up. You got us everywhere. You're by
Frisco.
Allen,
I've got some in Frisco. Yeah, that was, well, it's interesting when you go into a neighborhood and you see inventory and you might have 10, 12 houses that are essentially the same, same basic price point. And to me, I feel like the difference of that was being able to present myself better. Because as I'm scrolling through myself, I'm always looking where the competition is. And if they don't look as good as I do, people start their search online. They're like, that one looks nice. It looks clean. The rooms look bigger. You don't have dark spots and all this stuff. And your mind sees this because you see the whole room.
Yeah.
You see it when you shoot it. I see it online when I present it. And that's the difference.
Yeah. And I have to agree with you. We've been trained by agents, for agents in the DFW area for, since 2000. And I think that our photographers, we don't just walk in and go, let me shoot it. No, we're asking you, hey, what makes your house unique? What makes our business unique at Quick Image is that I've trained the guys to think like realtors.
Yeah.
If you're going to go in there and be a value add to an agent and their relationship and strengthen it, you've got to think like an agent. You are working for agents. Agents are your customers.
Absolutely.
And again, it all really works when you've got agents like you that aren't so, micromanaging that it just creates, it makes us proud to be able to be a part of someone's business and support it, as long as we have, and that's what we're in this for. It feels good to kind of be patted on the back a little bit.
Good job,
in a market
Good
that
job.
may not. You getting some action? What's the showings like?
Yeah, I think everybody feels like there's a little bit of struggle from an agent's perspective because we definitely have a COVID hangover.
What was that? What do you mean?
Well, sellers, 4 years ago or something, they just, there's a line of 30 people outside the house.
Yeah, they didn't need us. They didn't need us.
And that made prices jump. Interest rates were low. And, as I've been listing properties even over the last 24 months, there's still a little bit of this, you need to price that higher. Maybe we'll catch somebody. But as information goes, everybody has access to it. So that means they're empowered with the same basic information we have, but we have a little bit extra because we can go get sold comps that are a lot more accurate than what the public can get. So we have that, in our quiver still, that we can tell them what your house is really worth. So overpricing does one thing. I think we all know that it sells your competition. So pricing right in the beginning is the most important thing. I'll tell you something. This is what I say to every one of them. Every day your house isn't on the market, you're losing a potential client. Okay? So with that being said, get everything in order. Get it all right. Because if I can look in your submarket, in your square mile inside your subdivision or whatever it is, and I see 8, 9, 10 houses just like you, what's going to win at the end of the day? Right. It's pricing. So make your price look the best. And that's why I come to you.
But you're skipping over. Are you not ready to give up your secret sauce here? Because I know there's something that you're telling your sellers.
Everybody has a friend who's a genius, right? And I can tell most of my clients know me, I would say on a personal basis because, you remember back in the day when you're bartending for somebody and you got to know them pretty well, that's a skill.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's the same
Rapport,
thing.
right.
I build rapport quickly,
Right.
and then I back it all up with black and white. Say, if I were you, this is what I would do. If it were my house, this is what I would do. Everybody's at 400,000. You're at 395. You don't think it makes a big difference, but do that. You know, be the first one out of the market, because as we just learned, you know, you sit on the market 2 or 3 months, maybe that's another 10 grand out of your pocket. So, you know, pricing correctly is important. So I think people sense that I'm telling them what I know to be true. And then when I back it up with black and white, which isn't hard to do, you know, but it's sincere and it's transparent.
Yeah.
You know,
So are you kind of I'm presenting the information for you to make a comfortable decision, and if you don't, you just sort of.
You remember at least, you know, when you're taking a
away?
listing, you already have an idea what you're going to list that property for, and then it's a game time decision. The day we go on, look around. You know, do you have 5 people on the street that are trying to sell their house too? Price it right. You know, you still might be better. I mean, there's square footage, there's, you know, finish out, you know, are you in the corner, are you in the back of the neighborhood? I mean, all these are factors, but yeah, we have to make a game time decision.
Right.
So that's important.
Well, I don't know when we're going to meet again, but hopefully we're going to do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Keep
I've got more coming, so
Oh yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
do,
keep you
man.
busy.
Yeah, you got to keep your pipeline full. But we've got some other stuff we haven't shown you yet that we're going to do for Dove
Can't
Creek.
wait.
So yeah,
All
you're
right.
in for a surprise. Amico,
Thank you, JD.
good luck out there.
Appreciate
amigo.
you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate the plug.
Yeah, have a good afternoon.